up for questions here. Let's begin with Chris Marlowe to start off here. Chris, go ahead.
Oh, goodness, Marlowe's getting out of control.
Here I come again, Coach. I have a two-parter for you. I know
Everybody does. That's standard.
I know it seems like the way to go here.
Andrew started that off. Thanks, Kendra.
I know you like goals. What are your goals for this upcoming game on Saturday night? And what will be the status of Will Barton? Can he play in this game on some kind of restriction, or is he just able to go all out?
Okay, as far as goals go for this first game at Golden State, obviously to get better, I think that's an organizational thing that I've talked about every year when I got here. Goal number one is to find a way to improve every single day. So it'll be nice to finally play against an opposing team after this many practices. So, can we improve that day? What does that mean? Can we transfer everything that we've been working on offensively and defensively into a game situation? And the second goal to me would be just to get through it healthy. This season opener against Sacramento is coming at us in warp speed. So I want to make sure that we are improving, we're getting in shape, and we are healthy come the beginning of our season. As far as Will Barton, Will was actually able to do part of some live drills today, which was the first time that has been the case since we started training camp. So that was great to see, get him out there in competitive drills. As far as his status for Saturday night, I'll have to check with our medical staff, but more than likely, Will would probably be at this point doubtful to play in that game.
Go to Kendra next. Kendra, go ahead.
You're welcome for all of the two-parter questions, Coach. I'll try and keep it up to like 3-parters and 4-parters throughout the season now. You have a lot of guards on your roster, point guards, shooting guards, combo guards, all of that stuff. Does having so many of those guards allow you to be playful with some lineups, maybe having a guy like Monte and Facu, smaller guards on the court together? Just what does all those options bring to your team?
Yeah, by the way, I think it's going to be really interesting to see Facu's name and how we use that and who's going to mess up first, because that name is a lot of danger zones. But Facu, yeah, so we do have a lot of guards. It's kind of like Bubba Gump shrimp. We have lots of different types of shrimp. We got lots of types of guards. But to your point, Kendra, we can be ultra creative. Before we decided to bring Facu over here, Tim and I and the coaching staff had a conversation. We should only bring him over if we can envision playing him and a Monte Morris together. Obviously, we know that Monte and Jamal have proven to be very effective. And then you look at in the years past, some of the teams that play 3 smalls at one time. And the reason I bring that up is a name that has not come up in many of these post-practice Zoom calls is PJ Dozier. Right. PJ Dozier, in my opinion, is the early pick for training camp MVP. PJ Dozier has been phenomenal. People forget how big he is and how versatile he is. So I think PJ is another guy that you could throw out there with a Monte, with a Facu, spread the ball out, spread the floor out, and you have 3 attack guards that can get anywhere they want on the court, make plays for themselves as well as for their teammates. So that's pretty exciting to have.
Next, we'll go to Katie Winge. Katie, go ahead.
Coach, can you, first of all, great to see you. Great to hear your voice.
Appreciate it, Katie.
Caught myself there.
You're a good listener.
Thank you. Takes directions well, check. Can you elaborate a little bit on why PJ Dozier would be the early training camp MVP? What have you seen from him that you've, in terms of progress or where he fits with his team?
Yeah, I'd say one, it's consistency. I mean, he's done it every day. When you get into training camps, one day, one player will have a really good day. The next, it might be another player or two. But I think what stood out for me in regards to PJ is that every day he's been, when we talk about practice as a staff, and then when I go back and watch practice, he's a guy that's playing at a high level every single day. Well, what does that mean? What is he doing at a high level? Obviously, his ability to get his teammates involved, be a really efficient playmaker, making the right plays, not forcing shots, his defense. I think that was the one thing that jumped off the table for me is PJ Dozier in the bubble, in the playoffs, showed to me that he can be a really good perimeter defender. And what stuck out to me was his defense in that Utah series. against guys like Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, and Donovan Mitchell. So PJ's offense, his ability to get anywhere on the court with the ball, he's a very good pick and roll player. The defense, the rebounding, the shot making, it's really been all of that. And his attitude and his work ethic have been off the charts as well. So, I love PJ. I love coaching him, and he's been terrific for us so far.
We'll go to Mike Singer next. Mike, go ahead.
Hey, Michael. Now that the ink has dried on Monte's deal, what does that deal say about his standing within the organization and what he means to you guys on the court and in the locker room?
Yeah, I was so happy for Monte, and when you see a guy that you draft in the second round as a two-way player, and, let's be honest, Monte's second season, he wasn't slated to be a backup point guard. That was going to be Isaiah Thomas. Unfortunately, IT's hip injury didn't allow him to, get back to playing until February. And Monte, took full advantage like Lou Gehrig did to Wally Pipp back in the day and said, you know what, I can handle this role. I can be a backup point guard on a really good basketball team. And most importantly, Mike, I think everything, when you look at our roster, everything has to be, how does it affect Jamal Nicola? And Monte's a guy that can play with Jamal. He can play behind Jamal. And his work ethic, he's done everything we've ever asked him to do. And to your point, it's not just on the court, the assists, the turnovers, the stats. Monte Morris is one of those guys that has the complete respect of the entire locker room, the complete respect of the entire coaching staff, as well as the front office. He's the Pied Piper. He knows everybody and everybody loves him. And I challenged Monte, even before he signed this contract, you need to be more vocal. You got to find your voice. You got to be more of a floor general at times and run your team. And that's something I think he's really taking on and not afraid to try and become better in those areas. But the contract shows our belief in him. I think there's not many better backup point guards in the NBA. And he even started games for us this year in the playoffs. So thrilled that he got this out of the way. Now he can just focus on playing basketball and helping this team.
All right, we have time for two more questions. We'll go to Mark Kisla next. Mark, go ahead.
Kiz.
Fuck you, Coach. Good to see you.
All right, see, I like it. Let's do it. I like it.
A little New York for you there. Since I follow Marlo and all things in life, I have a two-parter. So the first one is, you mentioned right at the outset, it's a different team. Do you have a graphs yet on what kind of team, how different it's going to be at this point? And then I've got a follow-up if I could after that.
Yeah, I think, that's probably a work in progress, Kiz. The good thing for me is knowing that we still have our core together. I mean, obviously, when you can bring back a Jamal, Nicola, the cornerstones of your team, you still have Monte and Gary and Will and Michael and Paul. And the guys that are no longer here, obviously the Masons, Torreys, Jeremys, but even the Noahs, the Troy Daniels, who was really good for us last year in so many ways, and Kata Bates-Diop. We'll miss those guys, but I'm excited about the 7 new players. I'm excited about the 10 returning players that we have, but I'm starting to get to a better place because continuity has long been our strength, as you know, Kiz. And this year is the first year almost since I've been here where there's been this much turnover. But we've got a tremendous group of guys in our locker room, and I think the new guys are getting acclimated and feeling comfortable fairly quickly.
Okay, and the follow-up is kind of the outside of basketball that we've often asked you in 2020. The NBA has been a leader in, the COVID response from the very start when the season was shut down and the social justice issues. What to any extent do you think the NBA can, and players, coaches, whatever, can take a leadership role in vaccine and getting the vaccine and letting people know that it's safe and it's good and it's the next thing to do in this process?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would agree. I think the NBA has been at the forefront, and you feel, I feel fortunate to be a part of an organization, association that is at the forefront and following other people. And that starts with Adam Silver. That starts with our Players Association, as well as the 30 head coaches and their staffs. Regarding the vaccine, that's a really interesting question. I was speaking with somebody last week that was talking about the vaccine, prisons, and helping the prison population out. Obviously, Governor Polis kind of came out and shared his thoughts on that. But the prison population has been decimated by COVID. And how do we get some of the nonviolent prisoners out of prison in a safe place? And hopefully the vaccine can help not just the prison population, but the population as a whole. And we are leaders. We do have a platform, and hopefully people can follow that. I know there's been some dialogue, kids, about will the NBA make it mandatory for coaches and players to take the vaccine once it's readily available? And my only thought on that, and not to be long-winded, which I often am, is I always wonder, are we skipping the line? Now, we get tested every day. Are there people out there that are not getting tested that need it? If the vaccine's available, are there people more deserving of a vaccine than Michael Malone? I never, or anybody else in the NBA for that matter. So it's a delicate balance, because ultimately we have people on the front line putting their necks on the line every single day. I coach basketball. I mean, like, this is a game that I love and I have a passion for, but I just want to make sure that the people that deserve the tests, or maybe are more deserving of receiving a vaccine, get them way before I do, because, you know, I would hate to be in that position, if that makes sense.
All right, Coach, that'll do it for today. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it. Take care.